So now we're going to talk about our most basic crash, which is the flat crash at the flat position. The flat crash is going to be created from the flam, which is the basic element of any crash that we play. The flam is a two-part motion, first contacting with the front of the cymbal, right inside left, and then the back of the hands coming together. From the prep, we're going to come in aiming the right cymbal at the inside of the left cymbal. As we come forward, we're going to first have a contact point 2 inches inside the left, and we're going to have an angle here in the back that's about 15 or 20 degrees. This will give us a medium-sized crash, a mezzo forte crash. Once the front contact has happened, we're going to let the backs come together, and those two separate parts of contact are the flam itself, which will create the crash sound. So we hear here both of those parts of the flam. We hear the front and then the back. In the context of the actual crash, we're not going to want to hear both those parts. We want one continuous sound which combines both of those motions. The prep starts on 8. We end farthest back on the and of 8. The crash itself is on 1, and we have a quick full extension where we let the elbow completely straighten out and lock. From there, we stay completely still until a hard lock back on count 3. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and. The flam itself is there to prevent two things. We don't want to hit flat, and we don't want to hit overly wide where we're actually going to hear two separate portions of the crash. This is the reason why we go for a medium-sized angle that's going to allow for one smooth sound. You're going to know if you're hitting flat because you're going to hear an air pocket. Because of the curvature of the cymbal, if you're hitting flat, you're going to get that pop, and that's going to tell you that it's too flat. As we bring the right elbow back for the prep, the left hand is going to tilt slightly. We're not going to actually want to move the arm because then we're going to have a moving target for our right hand to come into contact with. But we do need to create some angle here for the left hand to give us that flam that we're looking for. So as the right hand comes back, the left hand is going to just slightly tilt in just from the wrist. Notice too that as Josh preps back, we're keeping the right forearm level, and we don't see any major rise or dip in the level of the arm. The size of the crash is also dependent on the dynamic in terms of how far we're moving that right elbow back. For mezzo forte and forte crashes, we're going to be imagining that the right elbow is going to come far enough back that we have a straight line between your elbow, your right shoulder, and your left shoulder. From the prep position, as we're coming to make contact, we want to imagine that we're actually shooting the right hand forward and not in. It takes very little force this way to get a harsh, heavy crash, which is not what we want. We want a lively, vibrant sound, and that comes through just a lightness in the hands, getting that flam, and then pushing through quickly, both through the rotation, through the flam itself, and then out to the full extension. Notice that the left hand is staying completely stationary and that all of the motion is really in the right arm. The key here is not force, but speed. Don't think about hitting the cymbals this way, but instead just skipping them across each other front to back. Next, we're going to be covering a basic crash exercise, which is going to be a crash every 8 counts. We're going to prep on 8, contact on 1, extend quickly, and then lock back on 3. While we're marking time, we want to make sure that there's coordination between the hands and the feet, and that we're really feeling that connection. When we prep on 8, we're going to feel that strong in the right foot, and we're going to make sure that when we crash on 1, that's going to be strong in the left foot. Feeling those two things together will make sure that the pulse is unified and that we're playing all together. Notice that as they play, their feet are together, they're moving together, they're prepping together, they're playing together, and they're locking together. It's a completely coordinated effort, and it's that clean, unison look that you want to go for.